Okay, so are you guys ready for the Bitcoin cycle? Okay, now this is will be very important. So please pay extra attention to it. And I want you to understand. Okay, if you don't understand, don't worry. Make sure you watch the video again and again. And if you have time, go and do some research and so on. Okay, because I don't want to go too technically to it. I want to just give you a macro perspective into the Bitcoin cycle. Okay, so let's just quickly get into it. Okay, let's go there. Okay, now please understand, as I talk about the Bitcoin cycle, I am not talking about the halving. All right, the halving is slightly different than the Bitcoin cycle. All right, okay, so this is important. So now, what are we going to really assess here? Okay, what are we going to examine here together? Right, it's going to be very important. The reason why I'm going to share this with you, because there is a change of event. There is a change of cycle that is taking place when it comes to Bitcoin. And I want you to understand, because this is not a conventional 4 years halving cycle that you and I used to think. All right. And many people are programmed that it is a 4 years halving cycle, and they are preparing for the fourth halving to be the same as the rest of the 3 halving. But I already warned you much earlier that it is not going to be the same. And I'm going to prove it to you today with this Bitcoin cycle to show you exactly that things are already flipped, right? It is already flipped. So let's look into it. So now, when I talk about the Bitcoin cycle, right, I want you to understand that there are left and right translated cycle here. All right. So what is a left translated cycle? A left translated cycle is the top of the daily cycle forms to the left of the midpoint. Now, you might not understand now, but you will understand later on, okay? But I just want to define it so that it is recorded, so that when you look back later on, you will understand what I'm trying to say, right? Now, then we got the right translated. The top of the cycle forms to the right of the midpoint. Now, example, right? If the cycle is 60 days. Now, please understand, Bitcoin has a 60 days cycle. All right, gold, I think, S&P 500 is like a 40-day cycle. All right, so these are daily cycle. Then you have the bigger cycle, which is the weekly cycle. Then you got the monthly cycle. Then you got the 4-yearly cycle. Understand that, okay? So that's how it works basically. So if the cycle is 60 days low to low for Bitcoin, the midpoint is 30 days, right? So the middle of 60 days is 30 days. If the top of the cycle occurs left-hand side of the midpoint, then we refer it as a left translated cycle. And if the top occurs right-handed of the midpoint, we refer it as a right translated cycle. All right. Now, let me show you some examples so that you can relate this definition. Okay, this is important. Okay, so pay attention. Okay, because I want you to understand this, because this is going to probably, okay, deliberate so many of you, and probably many of you going to have a breakthrough in the next cycle of Bitcoin. Okay, just take note. So now, this is a sample of S&P 500, right? As I mentioned earlier, right translated cycle means top of the cycle occurs right-hand side of the midpoint, all right? Now, if you look, right, when we talk about the cycle here, right, we need to basically take the low of the previous cycle and the low of the current cycle. So you can see we got the low of these two cycles, that is around 38 cycle, okay, 38 bars, okay? It's about 55 days. Now, if you look, right, the top, can you see that? Top of the cycle occurs right-hand side of the midpoint. So when we take the cycle here, right, this is like this is for S&P 500 is around 40 days or 40 cycles. So this is about 38. So the midpoint is here. The blue is the midpoint. So now let me ask you, is the top at the right, or is at the top is at the left of the blue point, of the midpoint? Is at the right. So if it is at the right, then it is a right translated cycle. All right. So now if you look into the second cycle here, right, this is another cycle here. So we take the low and the low, okay, the low and the low. So it's basically a higher low. Can you see that? It's a higher low. Here we have the higher high. So you can see that, okay, the top is always going higher high, higher high, higher high, because it is a right translated cycle. Then the low will be lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high than the previous. All right. Now, if you look into the right translated cycle, Every time, okay, the top will be at the right of the middle point. All right, the top will be at the right of the middle point. The top will be right at the middle point. Now, this indicate, right translated cycle indicate bullish sentiments. So that means, right, if you look into the cycle here, right, so this is a bullish momentum cycle. All right, now, on the other hand, we have the left translated. Left means that the top of the cycle now is at the left of the midpoint. So now if you look at this example, right, this is low, and then we got a midpoint over here. So that means that this is a right translated. Now from the right translated, now we are moving into the left translated. Okay, so you can see now we have the rate. Okay, this is the higher, right? This is the higher low. Okay, higher low, higher low, higher low. All right, so you can see now this is where we have the high, which is basically on the left of the midpoint. Okay, on the left of the midpoint. So this is a left translated. So when you see a left translated, it is basically showing a bearish sentiment. All right, so that means that you can already understand that the market is going to continue to be bearish. All right, now, how many of you want to know what is really happening to Bitcoin? Okay, is Bitcoin is a right translated or Bitcoin is a left translated? Put that in the chat room, okay? Because I want to shock you today and show you what is happening with Bitcoin. All right, so this is just to give you an example of the S&P. Now I want to show you exactly what is happening with Bitcoin. How many of you are interested to see what is the cycle for Bitcoin like as of now? Okay, put that in the chat room. Okay, this will be awesome, right? So let's learn together. Okay, I want you to learn together because this is something something that can really help you to understand where we are moving in terms of the cycle of Bitcoin. Okay, so now I have the cycle here, okay, of Bitcoin. But what I want to do is that I want to bring you straight into the trading view here so that we can look at the cycle in detail over here, right? In detail over here. So now I want you to follow me, okay? Follow me closely, okay? I'm going to do this slowly. Follow me closely, okay? Now, every one of you know, right? Our first halving, okay? First halving, this yellow dotted line, all right? This yellow dotted line is the first halving. Okay, let me just keep it this way, okay? So that easy for you to see. Now, so the yellow dotted line is the first halving. That happens on the 28th of November 2012. This is the first halving. Then we got the second halving, which is on the 9th of July 2016. Then we have the third halving. So remember, all the dotted line, okay, the yellow dotted line is the halving. So that is on the 11th May 2020. And we're going to have the next halving, which is the fourth halving, sometime April. If I'm not mistaken, it can be 24th, 25th, or 26th of April, okay? That will be the fourth halving. Now, I want you to see something here, okay, which is very, very important. Now, so if I take, all right, if I take the low and the low, okay, see that? This is the low of the previous halving and the low of this range, okay, which is basically like 48 bars or around 60 cycle, around that 50 to 60 cycle, right? Now, what you're going to see here, right? Now, let me ask you something, guys. The high, okay, the high here is left translated or right translated. So this is the midpoint. The midpoint is the red dotted. Can somebody tell me, is this a right or left translated? Please put in the chat room. You are right. So this is a right translated. All right, a right translated. Now, watch this very carefully, guys. Now, it took Bitcoin 3 years to go up and 1 year to come down. All right, 3 years. All right, 3 years the price moved up and 1 year the price came down. All right, so this is the first cycle. And how many years is this? 4 years, right? So 3 years to go up, 1 year to come down. Now, let's look into the next cycle. So the low of this and the low of this, all right, and we still have a right translated cycle here. And you can see 3 years up and 1 year down. Now, let's move into the next cycle here. All right, let's move into the next cycle here. In the next cycle is the same, right? You can see this is the low, this is the low, and this is the midpoint. And we see that the high is actually at the right of the midpoint. So that is another right translated cycle. Now, here is the surprise. What is happening to this cycle, the fourth cycles? What is happening here? Can somebody tell me, is this a right or left translated cycle? Yes, you are. Can you see? It's a big surprise for everyone because everyone was thinking it's a 3 years up, 1 year down, 3 years up, 1 year down, 3 years up, 1 year down. Unfortunately, we are now 1 year up and it's going to be 3 years down. Does that shock you guys? So you can see, all right, Bitcoin already actually flipped. It flipped the narrative. The narrative is no longer the same. We are no longer in the right, okay, okay, we are now in the left translated, guys. So this is what I'm telling you, that the narrative has to change, all right, because Bitcoin, this cycle, right, this is like 4 years, 4 years, 4 years. For the past 12 years, it has followed right translated. And now the last cycle, okay, which is the fourth cycle, and this is a total 16 years. So as I mentioned to you, right, every 16 years, you will see the cycle flip. So now, what are we going to see here, right? What are we going to see here? Are we going to start to see in this manner, right? Let me just bring you back probably to daily here. All right. So what I am expecting, right? You may see Bitcoin basically come down, and it's going to go all the way up here. It can be 80,000, it can be 100,000, it doesn't matter, right? So that is going to basically how the scenario is going to play out. Sorry. All right, so you can go to 85,000, it can even go to 100,000, or it can even go. It will happen probably before the halving. All right, before the halving. Now, what is the scariest thing is that after this is going to be a massive sell-off because we're going to see 3 years, all right, of downtrend. Bitcoin price may come down because it is basically a left translated. So are we going to see the next 3 years, price is going to come down and then it can actually continue before the price actually move up? So we could see a right and a left translated even, okay? It can be alternate sometimes, or probably it will take another 3 cycles for the price to go down. Now, what I am really seeing, right, is something like this, right? If you look at, it is a bit funny, guys, might be the way I look at it, okay? So now, what I'm seeing is this. Now, could you see this is like a semicircle going up, and it is going to come down in this way to complete the 180 degree. All right, so everyone is now thinking that Bitcoin is going to go to probably 1 million, 2 million, and so on. Now, what if this left translated cycle play out? So now, can you see why? Can you see why? All right, why the institutions are actually going in now? All right, why the institutions are going in now? Do you think that they don't know that the narrative is changing? Do you think that they are not going to sell off at 100,000 or 150,000 and exit? And then everyone who bought at 100, 150,000 are going to suffer for many, many years. All right. So this is why I am still adamant, right? This is why, because I can see the cycle narrative is changing. All right. I hope you guys are catching me. All right. I hope you guys are following me. Now, another proof. Okay, another proof that I want to show you. Look at the money flow at the down here. Right. Look at it. Now, let me just make this one line here so that you can see, right, clearly what is happening. So this is the vertical line. All right. Now, look at this vertical line, guys. Sorry. Okay, this horizontal line. Now look at it. Now every time it touches this area of overbought zone, can you see that? What happened, right? Overbought zone, overbought zone, overbought zone, and now we are already. Why is it? If you look at all this overbought zone, all right, it only happened after halving. After halving, why is it now happening before halving? All right. So can you see? Can you now justify why this left translated cycle is playing out so well before the halving. So you can see every time after halving, it dumps. After halving, it dumps. After halving, it dumps. But now before halving, so what do you expect? What do you expect to happen thereafter? All right. So this is a change of narrative completely that is taking place. Okay, when come to Bitcoin cycle itself, and I want you to be ready for what is coming. All right, for what is coming. I am not saying that this semicircle will play out, but I'm just saying that the narrative is now completely changed. All right, so this is, I think, the reason why the institution knows exactly that they don't have much time. All right, they have to go in now and acquire as much they can, and thereafter dump the whole price and exit, and then they might come in again to buy when the price is at the lower range. All right, so this is it. Now, I want to share with you something that really important. Now, most of you will be thinking that now that you are already missing the boat. No. Now, let me tell you something. The best time to do DCA is when the price is coming down, not when the price is going up. So if you want to do DCA, this is your massive opportunity that you have the next probably 3 years or 5 years, right? Because the next halving will be in 2026. Sorry, 2028. So maybe the next 4 years, right? We could see the price actually move up slightly, right? We can see that. But the thing is that this is your massive opportunity to start to do DCA. So you can buy, okay, don't buy one lump sum, right? You can buy $100 every month, $100. Now, why did I say that this is the best time to do DCA? Can somebody tell me? Can somebody put in the chat room why this is the best time to do DCA? Let me see. Let me see if somebody can tell me accurately that. Why? Why do you think this is the best time to do DCA? Anyone? You are right. Absolutely right. You can use your $100 and you can say, okay, if every month, right? Every month, let's say every month, I buy 100. Every month I buy 100. Now imagine, right? The more you buy when the price going down, the more BTC you get. Now imagine if the price start to shoot even a little, right? Even a little. What happens to your wealth? All right. So this is the massive opportunity you have to do the DCA. So if you are thinking of doing saving for your children, if you're thinking to do saving for yourself, this is the best time, guys. When the market is coming down, when the narrative is changing, this is the best time. So what I'm saying is that since it is now the left translated, the next will be left translated, most probably a left translated, because remember, this is a 16 years. All right. This all the way here, okay, until the halving year, right? This is going to be a 16 years, guys. This is a 16 years is coming to an end. So now we are moving into a new cycle altogether, which will be another 16 years. That's the reason why Bitcoin 21 million will only end, okay, another 120 years. So this right and left translated will keep playing in this manner, right? It will be keep playing in this manner. So I hope, right? I hope now you get where I am going and why I am adamant. That's why I told the people, I say 10,000 may not be in this cycle. It can be the next cycle. But nevertheless, there is massive possibility, right, that anything can happen to Bitcoin price. All right. So take note, okay, of this information. Yes, I know people are basing on the halving, and they say that, oh, since it is half, therefore the economic of Bitcoin is that when the Bitcoin is lesser, the price will go up. Not necessarily, guys, because you can see that Bitcoin is lesser now, but the price is coming down. Why? Because the price is actually moved by the liquidity. So if there is liquidity, it will then move the price up or down. If there is not enough liquid, if let's say all the money from Bitcoin goes into the stock market or goes into gold or silver, Bitcoin will crash. You understand me? But when the stock market money, when the gold money and all this money goes into Bitcoin, Bitcoin price will shoot up. So it is the liquidity that determines the price of Bitcoin. It is not the halving as how it is being programmed to each and every one of you. All right, so it is the liquidity. So you can see, right, when there is not enough liquid and when there is not enough supply, this can affect the price of Bitcoin. All right, so this is just to show you how I see from the macro perspective. I may not be the only one who is talking about the left translated cycle. There are other scholars, okay, who are talking about this. There could be other experts, all right, that could actually even talk about this. Probably you just need to research and find out. But there are other, other experts who are also speaking about the left translated cycle, but it could be not, it could be very, very rare. All right, it's just that we need to understand the cycle and how to basically, right, how to basically, narrate this whole cycle. Okay, so I hope that I'm giving you a clear picture of what I think. Right? I'm not saying that I'm right. I can be wrong, but it's just that how this narrative is playing out at this moment. So will the price goes up? Yes, I believe so. We could see a correction, and then we could see massive move to the upside. So this could be the last time, probably, if you are interested to buy Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin. This could be probably the last time you should hold your Bitcoin and then wait for the price to go up, probably 100,000 or 120,000. You might want to sell your Bitcoin and convert it into some assets or whatever, so, and then wait for the narrative to play out later on to buy back, okay? Or you can start to do DCA slowly and start to accumulate Bitcoin, because the narrative of right and left translated can be changing from time to time. All right, I hope that is clear. All right, okay, that is awesome. Okay, so that is basically a Bitcoin cycle, okay, in the nutshell. And I hope, okay, that you guys understand exactly why I am adamant, why I'm still preaching what I'm preaching, because what I'm seeing is the cycle there. I'm not just looking at the price of Bitcoin. Now, if you understand the cycle from the macro perspective, you will position yourself accurately, for the wealth transfer, right? You will position yourself accurately because you are seeing the macro perspective of how the cycle is playing out, right?